So I'm delighted this afternoon to be with Stefan. I will try to get your surname right. Your first name's much easier. Canavan.
Canavan, like
Yeah.
caravan.
So Stefan, you've got an interesting surname, but you've got an interesting journey even more so. Um,
Mm.
and the journey. We go back a few years. Tell the listeners how you got into property in the first place. So huge thanks for joining me over the Easter holiday period.
Yeah, so I started as a management consultant in London when I was 21. Always wanted to do property. And then me and a friend decided to just take the plunge, buy our first place. And we did all the strip out, all of the decorating as much as we could ourselves. We showered in the gym and went to the toilet in the pub, so it was really hands-on. Fortunately, that went well, and then we replicated that 5 or 6 times over the next 3 years. At that point, I was 25, 26, and wanted a change in my life. So I left the corporate world and went into property full time. I did that by setting up a high-end building and project management company, which undertook about 20 to 30 high-end refurb extension kind of projects over a 18-month to 2-year period. And at that point, although that was going very well, I wanted to go back to more the investment side that I was working on before all of that started. And it was at that point, about 18 months ago, I met my business partner, Anna Harper, and we bought Landmark Projects, which is now a London-based property development and company that works across the UK.
So, Stefan, have I got your age right? You're still under 30?
I'm just 30.
Just
yeah,
30.
I turned 30. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Big part.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So huge changes in your life in the last few years. In the last 18 months, we were discussing the transition from a property refurb company to a property development company.
Mm.
What was the major change? Was it the partnership with Anna, or was there something more than just a partnership?
Well, the partnership with Anna was really important because I think we both had a shared goal, and we both knew where we wanted to go, and we had different ways of going about things to get there. But working together allowed us to bring the best out of each other. So I was very focused on where we want to be, and she was more focused on how we get there. And one of the things that's been really important to us is strategic joint ventures. So not only do we joint venture with people on funds in the typical sense that most people do these days, but we bring our project managers into the joint venture, and other professionals who work with us like agents, sourcers, etc. So that leverage and that joint venture nature of the relationship has allowed us to scale the business quite significantly.
And it's quite interesting, the structure of your PMs as well. Your projects are both based in London, Stoke, and Manchester, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And the ones which are outside of London, you have external project managers for those particular responsibilities, those particular developments. What made you get interested in Manchester? The reason why I asked you that is because Martin Skinner's head of investments is going to be on the panel this coming Tuesday evening with yourself, and
he's just gone up there as well, hasn't he?
Yeah. Okay. You sort of like, yeah. Why Manchester? Why? What's so special about Manchester? And it's interesting. The law practice, who's going to be there as well. They're focused on Manchester, in a sense that they've got their own team in Manchester, 10 solicitors. So why Manchester? What's and to be fair, no one's come across to me with mentioning Stoke. I've heard the likes of Nick Leverland, I think, or Leverhead, who's been who's focused on Stoke. But why Manchester?
So there are a few things. I think we originally started looking outside of London initially because post-Brexit, we found it very hard to get deals to stack in London. So we felt we needed to look further afield. And And I went to university in Manchester, and I was in a relationship with someone from Manchester for quite a long time. So I knew Manchester very well. So it was somewhere I felt comfortable with. So in terms of knowing the areas, knowing the market, I think that's really important if you're going to leave where you live, to go somewhere that you understand and have an affinity with. The second thing then is that we had relationships with the project manager up there, and we trusted him and we worked very well with him. So you need both. You need both an understanding of the area and also a good team in place. I think you can have a good team but not know an area, and it might not work as well. Or you can know an area and not have a team, and then again, it's not going to work too well. So it was a kind of a perfect storm in that we were looking for somewhere outside of London. We had a team, and I knew the area, and it all worked. All came together quite nicely.
Stefan, can we just look at some financials?
Yeah.
You're very busy. I'm not going to quote because you're better quoting the number of developments you've got and units and so forth. But just to share to the listeners the most recent numbers of units, which you're developing both in London, Stoke, and Manchester, and what that equates to.
Yeah. Okay. So at the moment we have 2 sites in London. One's in Croydon, one's in Wimbledon. That's a total of 6 units with a total GDV of about 2 million. In Stoke, we have 1 site which is 9 houses, 1 big house, 3 barns, and 4 new builds. That's a GDV of 2 million. We have another site in Stoke that we've just completed on, which is 18 studios under permitted development, and we'll go for planning for a further 18. The GDV on that is between 1.5 and 3 million. And then in Manchester, we have the 22 flat development, which we've shared on Facebook in terms of the CGIs and the project, which has had really, really good feedback. And that GDV is probably about 1.5 million. So a fair number of units and a fair number of projects spread out. So the relationships you have and the way you run the business has got to be very important to keep all that moving smoothly.
Sure. So what made you go from, I understand property refurb, but why particular development rather than just a traditional buy to hold or flip? And the other question, I suppose more important, is the trend in build to rent. And where do you see yourself fitting into build to rent?
Yeah, completely. So we went into developments because so both Anna and myself do have small portfolios ourselves, which we will hold for the longer term. The build or buy to flip for me doesn't work in London anymore. The market's too competitive with people willing to do work on themselves. So the larger development projects were much more appealing, both from a excitement point of view and a return point of view, and also driven by the desires of our investors. They don't want to keep money held up in property too long at the moment. So given the uncertainty in the market, Brexit, all of that kind of things going on, they want to be able to kind of gain a good return, but know that they can recycle their money and reassess in kind of 12 to 18 months. So that's been the driver behind our buy to sell approach. However, if you look at the Manchester project and the studio projects in Stoke, they are very much build to rent schemes, and we will sell them on as one block to a PRS or an institutional fund. I think we're going to see that market grow quite significantly.
So so Stefan, that's fairly similar to what I think Prosperity Partner did, Gavin Barry, in terms of the student block in Derby, selling it off directly to the university.
Yes, exactly.
Is that?
It's, if you can do it, because if you can agree a sale before the building is finished, it does de-risk the project quite significantly. However, you have to understand that if you are going to sell blocks as a whole, the end buyers are going to want a discount and get a good deal. So you need to make sure that you've built that into your numbers before you start.
Sure. Stefan, I promised it would be a 7-minute interview. So I don't want to go on and on. So huge thanks for you taking time out this afternoon. As I say, you're going to be on the panel on Tuesday. The likes of it's going to be an interesting panel because Martin Skinner's architects there as well, and behind every great person there's a team, and I'm sure behind landmark projects there's a team as well. It's not just yourself and Anna. I don't know how many PMs you've got working with you right now, but
we couldn't do it.
I'm sure. So so as I say, it's yourself, Stuart Ross from Martin's company. He's the head of investor relations. Also the likes of Kevin Edge as well, an award-winning developer, and more than a developer, because of civic construction, design and build. And also, as I mentioned, the property solicitor firm, Ronald Fletcher Baker. So, and also there's going to be an opening presentation from Tor Potes from Crowd With Us, and a very short presentation for myself for the 7-year Wandsworth anniversary. Is there anything else you want to add, Stefan, before we come to an end? Because there's lots of questions, but I want to give people more of an opportunity on Tuesday evening to ask. It's going to be at least 50 minutes in terms of the panel.
No, I mean, I've seen a lot of the marketing, so I know who's speaking. So I think in terms of content and the people you've got going and the VIPs, I think it's going to be a really great room to be in for people. So I'd highly encourage people to come along because I think there'll be a lot of value to be gained from the event. So,
sure, it's a good point you made about the VIPs, because you've got the likes of Amkampf, who raised funding for his deal through crowdfunding, one of the first to do that. You've got the likes of Bill Patel from iOccupy as well. So they're doing a number of developments in the Luton area. I've got the likes of marketing, head of marketing for East 8, Marina Conway Gordon, who I've been fortunate enough to spend some time with in the last week, and really picked up some useful ideas and lessons. And there's a plethora of about 30 or 40 VIPs, past speakers, past panelists, who are going to be there. And as I say, last year there was a number of architects. Of course, Martin's architect is one of the key ones because he's on the panel that particular evening. So I just want to say, and of course Anna's going to be there as well. So just want to say huge thanks, Stefan, for taking time out this afternoon, and just wish you an enjoyable Easter weekend.
You too, and everyone else watching.
So huge thanks for you joining, and I'll see you on Tuesday at the Crown Plaza, Battersea. Thanks, Stefan.
Bye-bye.